The Specialized Tarmac Disc is the bike of the future. An overstatement? Perhaps. But it is a fascinating machine for a few reasons. One, there's some cool innovation going on. Two, it highlights some trends that are going on in the industry. And three, there's just some nice practicality that is refreshing to see on a high-end race machine. Let's start with the innovation. So the S-Works Tarmac Disc is the first bike from a major brand to have its own power meter. Now, the S-Works power is made by 4eyes, but nonetheless, it's the first meter by a bike brand to come stock on a bike. I think that is a positive thing. One of the problems with power meters is that they can sometimes be a chore to match up with your bike. Does the crank clear the chain stays? Do you have the right spindle configuration? On and on. So having a high-end power meter that's already integrated nicely into your high-end machine is a positive thing. Now, Specialized is claiming that this is the lightest, the world's lightest, and the world's most accurate power meter. On the lightest front, the additional strain gauges and the power meter aspects add about 30 grams, which is about the same as a stages meter. The world's lightest part comes from looking at the weight of the carbon arms and the Praxis chain rings. Okay, fine, it's light. World's most accurate, I don't know. I don't have a way to test that. I have been testing it against Garmin Vector 3 pedals, which I have found to be remarkably good. Certainly a big step up from the first two iterations. And the two meters track within single-digit watts of each other on average. The left-right seems to be fairly accurate, judging against the Vector pedal meters. I was able to trick the left-right a little bit by doing single leg drills. Unclip the left leg, pedal with the right, do that for a couple minutes, then switch. Sometimes it would read 99% on one side and 1% on the other. It would go as much as 95 to 5%, and again, this is just while pedaling with one leg. So that was a little discouraging to see. You could argue that, well, it's the weight of the pedal flopping around that is causing that reading. I suppose that is an argument, but it is not something that I see with the stages left-right dual side meter or with the Vector 3, where in both of those systems you get 100%, 0% when you're doing single leg drills. So it's not something that would affect the meter in your normal training when you're pedaling with both legs, but it is something that puts a dent in my mind against the claim of the world's most accurate meter. Nonetheless, it's very much a usable training tool and a nice slick integration into the bike. So in terms of industry trends, the bike is specialized head to toe with the exception of the Shimano group. Something we're seeing more of these days is bike brands like Giant, like Trek, like Cannondale, making their own components in various spots. Whether that's the tires, the saddles, the cockpit components, the wheels. Now, house brands are nothing new to the bike industry, but typically they have been a cost-cutting measure. So on the lower end bikes, you'd get house brand stuff. It's fine, but it's not flashy. Now that is changing. Specialized tires are fast. We tested these tires at Wheel Energy in Finland, and they came out very good. The Roval wheels, it's the CLX 50s here with ceramic speed bearings. Certainly a wheel you'd be happy to race with right out of the box. Specialized saddles have gained favor for a number of years, and that's not a low-end house brand thing. In contrast to one trend we're seeing a lot on high-end bikes, which is front-end integration. On the Tarmac Disc, the handlebar is one thing, the stem is another thing, and that, I think, is a great thing. Now, the integrated bar stem looks slick for sure. Most of them are faster aerodynamically by a smidgen in a wind tunnel, which is fine. But if it doesn't fit you, it doesn't matter. Now, you can adjust effectively your reach by scooting your saddle forward and backwards, but that's a bad thing to do because you should first center yourself over your bottom bracket. That's the first step, then get your reach dialed in. And that is done typically by adjusting the length of your stem. Most of the time you'll probably be in the right ballpark, but if you need to make small adjustments, you should do so with the stem. So moving forward with that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's a positive thing with this bike. Similarly, there is some internal housing down through the down tube, but at the front end, the Di2 wire and the hydraulic cable just run out in front of the bar down into the bike. So ride quality. How does this bicycle act as a bicycle? If you like race bikes, I think you'll love this. I'm a little biased. I've been a fan of the Tarmac for a number of years, and this SL6 continues very much in the vein of previous Tarmacs. Stand up on the pedals and stomp on it. It goes forward. There's no sloppy side to side. The handling's nice and precise. You can steer with your hips. There's a bit of comfort to it. There's probably more comfort with this bike than previous ones. One long seat post, and the top of which, the top 100 mils, has been engineered for a little more fore aft up and down flex than the rest of the seat post. The other thing is the seat stays come in lower on the frame than prior iterations of the Tarmac. This design you'll see other places as well. BMC has been running this for a while. Cervelo, you see it in other places. It works. Hitting bumps, you don't want to feel in your pelvis, but the bike is still plenty stiff when you stand up and go. Shimano Di2 with discs. I 99% love this group set. The precision, fantastic. Dependability, excellent. I like the fact that you can tune it. There's 5 different speeds. I like the fact that you have satellite shifters, whether you like the sprint shifters or the climbing switch. Personally, I'd like to see this bike come with some of those options, much in the way that the giant propelled disc comes with sprinter shifters, something you can add on yourself. Similarly, I would like to see Shimano in general, or at least Specialized in particular, include a D-Fly unit with bikes, so you can have your Garmin talk to the group set. That's something you can add on, but why not just have it built into the group? Cost is the reason that Shimano gives. Also, Shimano retailers want to be able to sell you something extra at the shop, which is fine, but as a rider, I'd like to see it all built in. The look and feel of the hoods is quite similar to the mechanical group, which I think is a positive thing. Now, in the big disc versus rim debate, pretty simple, folks. Discs are better and they make bikes heavier. Simple as that. A couple anecdotal things. One, as you can see in this video here, I'm descending next to my buddy Todd, who raced for a number of years on teams with everybody from Greg LeMond to Lance Armstrong. Guy knows how to ride a bike. I've got about 50 pounds or 23 kilos on Todd, and coming down the same hill, I'm using a single finger on each hand to brake. Todd's using 2. I think that's a nice demonstration that discs require less force at the hand for the same or greater power to slow you down, and that's in the dry. In the wet, that goes up quite a bit. So nothing you don't already know. Disc works better and they're heavier. So are rim bikes dead? No, but they are going away in many cases with many brands. For example, Specialized, the Roubaix endurance bike, that's all discs. The Venge aero bike, for complete bikes, that's a disc only affair. If you want a rim brake version of the Venge, you have to buy the frame set and build it up from there. So Specialized is definitely pushing hard for disc bikes for high-end road. So all in all, the Specialized S-Works Tarmac disc, I think, is an excellent bike. Will the Specialized power meter prove to be the world's most accurate? Remains to be seen. Will the Specialized Tarmac disc prove to be an excellent road race bike? I think most certainly yes.